selecting photographs from my files for a very prestigious competition held in London every 12 months. It's the Wildlife Photographer of the Year competition, and they attract about 20,000 entries every year. Last year I did quite well with a photograph which got a runner-up in one of the categories, and this year I'd just love to be able to better that and win one of the categories. I've got to look through now just to see what I can find for this competition that I mentioned earlier on. This is the competition. It's the British Gas Wildlife Photographer of the Year contest. It's the biggest international competition that there is. 12 categories in all. There's other categories: composition and form, dawn to dusk, urban, garden, wildlife. And this is the one that I'd really like to go for, which is the British Wildlife, because that's what I really specialise in. There's Underwater World, which I shan't be going in for as I'm not a diver. So we'll see how that goes. Let's have a look at these. But I've got two here that are exactly what I want. So I'll put those on one side and return these to the file. I've been here now for 5 or 6 hours and I'm getting a bit fed up with it really. Turn the lights off, go and have a cup of tea. The bluebells are just coming up now. Things have been held back a bit because it's been so cold in the last few days, but it was about this time last year when I photographed the herb Paris, and I was a bit late on them then, so I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to find them just coming up at the moment. Oh, this is perfect. The herb Paris is growing absolutely everywhere here. I've got to be careful I don't put my feet on any. Absolute magic. Really is a beautiful plant when that comes out. And it's not so far on, which is absolutely just right. It's got the 4 heart-shaped leaves and then the flower spike is in the middle, and that will open up into a really pretty little yellow flower. And here, when this grows on a bit, this will be an absolute carpet of it. And that really is a sign of ancient woodland when you've got this growing in here. Oh, this is beautiful. It's absolutely all over the place in through here. Now what I'm going to have a look at here is the site of a marsh tit's nest. They nested here for the last 2 years, and I've set hides up and it's been absolutely hopeless. The weather, rain, everything's been against me. So I'll have a look at this again later on. They're not here yet by the look of it, and see if I can get some success then. This is a nest box that I put up here last year. Great tits were successful in it then, and looking at it I can see some nesting material around the entrance hole. That's a good indication that it's being used again. So what I'm going to do is come back here a bit later on when the great tits are more active and see if I can set up a hide nearby and photograph the action. There's plenty of dog mercury, cuckoo pint, Ah, now then, let's see what we've got here. I didn't expect this. This is Solomon's seal. Sometimes it's grown as a house plant. It's not quite out in flower yet, so I'm going to come back here later on and photograph this. It's a really pretty white bell-like flower grows on this. There's one or two buds just appearing. Oh, that's great. Well, there we are, a bit more April weather. Thunder now, that follows up with lightning strike. I just saw go through the top of the trees. Oh well. It was sun shining a minute ago, and just look at it now, we've got a hailstorm. Well, the weather isn't really all that good today. The forecast is for sunshine and showers, and we're into a reasonable period at the moment, so I'm going to go down here and photograph the great crested grebes that are nesting just in front of the hide. They're incubating 3 eggs. They've been on them now for several weeks, and I estimate that they must be coming up to hatching round about now, and I really don't want to miss it. So I'm going to go down there carrying the minimum of equipment. I've got a heavy tripod, 35mm camera with a 300mm lens on it. The film stock that I'm using is 100 ASA, which is a medium film, and I'm going to go on down there now and see what we can get. I'm going to make a quick entry into this hide. I've just seen one of the adult birds slide off the nest, and she'll probably be back in about 10 minutes. I'll just undo the flap and get in here quickly. I'll settle myself down and close the back flap, and here we go. Right, looking through the port in the front of the hide, I've got a clear view of the nest, and I'll put the camera lens through, and as you can see, the camera lens is camouflaged at the front. And right, now I'm settled in the hide. I've got about 10 or 15 minutes to wait for the hen bird to come back to the nest, so I can have a bite out of my Mars bar and get the hip flask out. These great crested grebes have an incubation period of about 25 to 29 days, and so it was not easy to estimate when they were going to be hatching. But they're an incredible bird. What I didn't realise with them was that as soon as the chick hatches, or the one that I saw anyway, while it was still wet, it was straight round to the back of its mother, climbed up on its back, and within 10 minutes of hatching, she had taken it away and transferred it onto the back of the male bird, and she returned to the nest without the chick. And none of my books actually mention this. So perhaps I've discovered something new. This is the interior of a birdwatcher's hide. Pretty simple stuff, really. I'm on the way down to a pond here that's situated at the bottom of the woods that's absolutely stiff with red signal crayfish, and these are what we're after. This is a good time of the year to be catching them. This is the trap that I've made. This is the bait. It's just a piece of pork bone with a bit of meat hanging on it. I've tied it onto this string in the middle so that the crafty crayfish, if it isn't in the middle where they can't get at it, they'll just eat it through the wire and they won't go into the trap. So they walk round it and smell the meat and go up into there, and then they won't be able to find their way out again. This is the pond where I know that they were introduced to a number of years ago now. And of course the American signal crayfishers, they're causing a major problem to our own European stocks by introducing diseases to them. And of course this is a stream-fed pond by an inlet up there, and then it outflows, and this eventually goes down into the big river, the Avon. And there's no doubt that the Avon's full of them, having probably come from this pond. So I'll go and set this trap and see how we can get on. Well, this is the spot where I'm going to set the crayfish trap. We have a length of wire on it and a bit of string so we can retrieve it in the morning. But these crayfish, once we've caught them, and I estimate that we might have a few in the morning, I won't be able to release them again, because being an alien species, it's unlawful to release alien species of any animal back into the wild. This has only come about in the last few years, so they're good food, and so if I get a good nice trap full of them, we'll be able to have some for the pot. So I'll throw this in now and see how we go. I can smell this meat from a mile away. It's time to get round to evening time now, so what we'll do is they'll feed overnight, come back in the morning just after daylight and see what we've got. It's 6 in the morning and we're back at the pool to have a look at the crayfish traps. Lovely morning. Well, we'll go and have a look, see what we've caught. Bit of a scramble down here. Not to go and fall in. Let's put the bucket down, which of course I've bought to put the crayfish in if we've got any. This is it, the moment of truth. Oh, and it feels heavy. Oh, I just don't believe this. Now just look at that. You can see the problem that these sort of waters are faced with when we've got a little tiny trap that's catching the amount of crayfish that we've got here. I think there must be about 30 in there. Let's get them up the bank and then we can examine what we've got. course, as I said yesterday, I'm not permitted to release these back into the wild, so but you can see the size of these things is quite vast. This is a red signal crayfish, but he's about as big as a big European crayfish, so this is a medium-sized American. So you can see the difference. You can see what some of the problem is. I'm not quite sure how many we've got, I stopped counting, but I reckon that there must be getting on for 40 there, but we'll have a count up when we get home.